All right, guys. So in this lesson, we're going to be picking up where we left off last time. And what we did in that step one of this create new classified form was to select a category. And in this lesson, we're going to be working with the type of item that we're posting and then assigning a status to it. So if you are making a lost and found post, you'll have some conditional logic that's going to let you select whether the item is lost or found and not show the options that are not applicable to that specific category. So without further ado, let's jump right back into it. Okay, so in step two, we start talking a little bit more about the type of item that we're working with, right? And we're going to select the status of that item. Now, this is the first bit of conditional logic we'll be using. And what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be showing a different header. So if we look over here, you can see that if I select free stuff in the first step, it shows free stuff in the header, lost and found details. You see how that just kind of nicely orientates the user a little bit better as to where they are, what type of content are they creating. And we use conditional logic to make that differentiation between those options. So coming back to our form, let's add another field, and then we're just going to give it a title. So this is going to be 2, 1, and then, of course, we also just want to say that this is classified label, just so that we're clear on what that is. And the first one is going to be for sale. And I'm just going to copy that and then paste that in the second spot. And then here, we will say label dash classified or underscore classified or a label underscore for sale. There we go. So just utilize those underscores there. And the type of field, since this is just content that will be shown on the page, we're just going to say, okay, cool, well, this is content. Like here, you can select something from the library, you can put code there, or just plain text. And we're just going to be using plain text. And I will use heading 2, and I will just say for sale post. There we go. Oh, actually, let's roll it back and call it classified. There we go. Now, this doesn't need to map to anything. We're not going to play with the layout. It's not a required field or anything like that. But we are adding conditional logic. So we'll expand that and we'll say yes to enable it. And then we're going to take a look here. You get to select the field that you are evaluating or applying the rule to. And the way the conditional logic works here is that it will display it if the rule or any of the rules are met, right? So what type of post are we submitting? And we're going to say, okay, well, it has to equal, and then it's going to be the slug of the category. So if I come back here and I go to classifieds and categories, if you don't remember the slug, here's my for sale slug. So I'm going to select that. I'll come back in here and put that right in there. Now we're not going to be messing with anything else. There's only going to be one rule for this. So that's all we need in there. Other than that, we're not going to be changing any of the settings in regards to this field. So I think we are good to go right here. Cool. So we just need to make sure that it is underneath step 2 indeed. And we can copy that twice because we need one for free stuff and one for lost and found also. So we will say free stuff. We'll update this one to say free stuff. And then we'll say label for sale, but we'll just call this label free. And then it's going to remain content, and then we'll just say free stuff classified. There we go. And we'll go down a bit further. And now the conditional logic will use the free stuff slug, copy that, take it over, and just paste it in there. Whoops, paste it in there. There we go. So that one's done, and we just need to go to the next one. And now it is going to be the lost and found, right? So lost and found. Oh, well, we can use an ampersand, why not? And I'll just copy that a little bit because I'm lazy and paste it right in there. And then here we'll say lost underscore found. And again, just put that label in there, lost and found, classified. And then lastly, conditional logic. I think the slug is lost dash found, but let's double check to be sure. Indeed it is. We'll come back here and now we'll save, and save one more time because I want to show you that that is working, and fingers crossed it is. Okay, so first thing, and you can see that there's really no active selection response for the user, and we'll deal with that when we do the styling for the first step. And we should actually do that right now. I'm going to do that right after I take a look at this for you. So yeah, okay, first one, for sale classified. If I click on free, free stuff classified. And if I click on lost, lost and found classified. So that's already working. So another bit of conditional logic, good to go. So I'm pretty happy with that. So let's enable the visual builder and go style that first step. But you know what? Actually, no. We'll deal with the styling a little bit later because there are some high-level stylings that we can do on the entire form that will make it unnecessary for us to go into each field and style that. It's just a time saver. So why don't we just go and truck on with step 2? Now what we need to do is add one more field because now we want to know, well, what are we posting, right? So what type of item or product or animal, it really depends on how you set all of this up or what fields you added. So let's go ahead and put 2 and then say, what are you posting? I'll copy that and 2 because this is our second field in step 2. Field ID, I'm going to put post underscore item underscore type. And this, again, will be radio buttons, but we won't be building out the same ones we did in the first step. We're just going to use regular ones. We'll also auto-detect them from the map field. And this, of course, will also be a required field. Put in there. Now, I'm not going to customize each one of these. You're welcome to go do so. And then when I scroll down to the layout options, we do want to tell it that we want a label at the top. And then we also would like to go ahead and tell it that we want the radio buttons to be in like a sort of a grid. So that's going to look much better. And then we're also going to tell it, well, we want 3 columns for that info. And we'll certainly be adding a description also. And we'll activate that. And we'll just say, tell us what you are listing. Something simple like that. And then scrolling down into the mapping options, of course, we're going to be selecting ACF field. And our ACF field that we're using, we come down here to our mapping options. Of course, we're going to be selecting classifieds taxonomy field because we created that item type custom taxonomy, right? So we're going to be selecting that. And that's how it's going to be reading all the different options also for that grid. We can go ahead and save this because unfortunately, you don't always get the preview. So I'm going to go ahead and save the page or the form, and then we will exit and go take a look. So free stuff, let's say, and we're met here because this time I accidentally forgot to go ahead and drag my field back up into the second step. Smart, but fixable issue. Doesn't matter how much you use this. Sometimes you just kind of plow your way through the whole thing. So I'm going to open up the settings. I've got my field here on the bottom. I think, hopefully that's the last time I do that. Save that. Go ahead and save our form, and then we'll exit the visual builder. Okay, so free stuff. Next. And there we go. Now we've got all of our different options here, and that's pretty cool. Very easy to do. We're on our way, basically. So that's cool. And when we do the design, we'll fix these buttons also because they're not working perfectly correct. Let's go back into the visual builder. But we also, of course, need to say, okay, well, is the item for free? Is it gone? Is it, what's the status? Am I posting something that's lost, something that's found? So there's a few options that we need to exclude from the status of the item. So let's go ahead and add one more field in here, and we will put in the field title. It's just item status. And of course, it's going to be 2-3 item status. And we're going to have 3 different fields for this just because there are going to be different options based on what you select in the first category step of this form. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Well, actually, I'm just going to put for sale. There we go. And then I'll put that in there. And then what we're going to do is we'll just copy the field and just modify the small things that we do need to change. We'll go item underscore status underscore sale. We'll just put it sale for that category. We're going to, again, utilize the radio buttons. And we are going to ask it to detect from the map field. Now, here we go into the excluding options. And we're going to use the values that we used before. And if I come back here, I'll get out of my categories and go to custom fields, edit, and status. Oopsie. And then when we scroll down here, these are the values, the lowercase ones that we need to exclude. So when an item is for sale, we don't want to see free, and you separate them with a comma, by the way. We don't want to see gone. We don't want to see lost. We don't want to see found. And we don't want to see sold, because why would you post a sold item? That does not make any sense. And we're, of course, also going to make sure that this is a required field for the users. And we're not going to mess with a custom field message. But what we will do is come down here to the layout. Oops, I clicked too fast. And we'll put the label at the top. We'll keep it at the default Divi. And just so you know, we can activate it as a button if we chose to, and just make each radio checkbox a button. And there might be some use cases where that makes sense, but we're not doing that right now. We'll add a description yet again, and that's going to go above, of course. And then we're just going to say, what is the status of this item? There we go. And then coming down to the mapping options, we're going to go ahead and select ACF field, and then we're going to select the status. And then just to make sure that we're showing the right version of this option, we're going to again activate conditional logic. We're going to go look at, again, the first item, which is going to be for-sale. It's, again, just that category slug that we've got going on. And then we can go ahead and save that. We can come back up. We will drag it up. Told you I won't forget this time. And we are going to make 2 copies of this. And then we will rename each one and just exclude the appropriate options. So for this one, we're going to say this is free stuff. And then the item status is going to be free. And we will now make sure that we've got the free option in here. Again, we're not going to post something that's gone already. So we just want to add sale here, because I think that is the value we have for sale. Yeah, it's sale. So hop back over here. And again, we don't need to change anything else. The mapping stays the same. All the other stuff stays the same. It's just showing the right options. And that's all we're doing here. So we'll go ahead and save that one. And now we'll just do the last one. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's the label. There we go. Lost and found. I'll copy that. And then I'm just going to put the field ID as lost. And we keep going down. So, okay. Well, this time we'll have 2 options, because we want to include lost and we want to include found. And then we just need to go and add in sold or sale as an excluded term. And that is going to be good. So let's save that really quickly. Now, before we go look and see what this looks like, I just remembered, maybe we want to make sure that our conditional logic is correct. I just want to double check this. Okay, so this is incorrect. So we just need to add in the correct slugs here again. That's good. And then I think the titles are a little funky too, and that's my mistake. So we'll just come back here. The field title, we'll just leave it to be item status. We won't add all the extra things that we do. That's going to be good for that one, because we still have the admin titles, right? So it's just doing double work. And I think it'll be confusing on the front end. So there we go. And let's just check the conditional logic. That's free stuff. That's good. Then our third option. And then we'll just scroll down to the conditional logic. And then obviously this is lost dash found. Okay, I think that's good. We're finally ready to test it. So let's just save and exit the Visual Builder. So free stuff. Next. All right, there we go. Free stuff. We've got the right options here. Everything is looking good. Let's go back and select lost and found. Lost and found are the 2 options. That's great. We have for sale. Cool. So now everything seems to be working correctly, and we're ready to move on.